Welcome back, guys, to another edition of the Go Earn It podcast. And today, my guest is Mizzou's great, Jaydin Eierman. Jaydin, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. So, for listeners out there that don't know who Jaydin Eierman is, Jaydin, can you tell the Go Earn It podcast following who you are as not only an athlete but as a person?
I am a wrestler from Missouri University. I'll be a junior next year. I'm a two-time All-American. Took fifth and fourth, and then just was a runner-up at the U.S. Open.
Yep. So, Jaydin, just to get things started, I wanted to talk right away about your weekend and how the U.S. Open went the past couple of weeks and how the training's been. So let's hear a little bit about that from your insight.
So right after nationals, when I lost in the semis, it was like really heartbreaking for me. I didn't really get to achieve what I wanted to. And that night when I was laying in bed, I was thinking like, what's the next best thing? I can go out there and get third, but I really ultimately want to make a world team. So I knew right when I get back home from nationals, I'm getting back to work and looking to achieve those goals.
Yeah.
So I went in there every day and just practicing my hardest, getting out there and trying new things and learning like the little things that are going with freestyle. So it was a really quick transition. And then I felt really, I've never worked hard in my life to achieve something. So it really paid off and showed at the U.S. Open.
For sure. So at the U.S. Open, especially, tell me a little bit about how the difference in the preparation and not only that, but the mindset going into something like the U.S. Open versus NCAAs. What do you see as a different indicator for how you should approach both events?
Yeah, my training was it was really good because I went in there with a mindset of I want to do this for me, and I found like a new drive, a new love for what I was doing. So that really, I think, helped me out a lot in growing to a new level. And there's no really big difference in comparison for training wise. Nationals is like the biggest tournament of my college career, and the U.S. Open, it was a good spot because there was no returning world medalist, so everybody was going for the final X spot, which is really good. It got to bring out a lot of good competitors, but it was just unbelievable. Last year I went 2-2 there and got tech followed by the guy beating the semis, so it really showed how my hard work really paid off in the past year.
Yeah, so I read this stat the other day, and and I was doing a little bit of research on you. I followed you out throughout your career so far and watched you at NCAA's live, which was pretty incredible to watch your run. Although you fell short, taking fourth, but you had some exciting matches, man. You upset a lot of people and shook a lot of people's minds about who you are as a wrestler in the future,
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about this stat that everybody is raving about and everybody hears about when they hear Jaydin Eierman, and it's you've had wins over the last 5 guys who have held the NCAA title at 141. Tell me how an athlete like yourself feels coming into not only this freestyle season, Greco season, but next year. What are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel very confident going in next year. Same as always, I never feel too bad about myself. I always feel 100% confident in what I do because I can catch anyone in any given moment. But, it's a good stat to have, but I still want to go out there and win one of my own and go in the history books.
For sure.
It keeps driving me.
That's awesome, man. So let's go back to NCAAs. How are you feeling going into that week of that last week of competition, and overall, how did you feel about the season as a whole?
I felt really good. I had a good week of training. I felt good about where I was sitting, and to help get, hopefully us in the placing. But I felt really good going into nationals, and when we got there, I just felt even better about myself. The weight cut was really easy.
Mm.
And so the season was really good. I went 29-1, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was unbelievable compared to last year when I had 7 losses.
Right.
So it was just a lot better year this year. I lost one match during the season that I really felt like I wanted back,
Yeah.
and I didn't get that chance to. But I'll have more opportunities in life. But it was a good season overall. Last year I think I had only 5 pins, and then this year I had 16.
Yeah. And
Which
that's a good segue
was
into what I wanted to ask you in terms of the growth you've made in the last 3 years. What has set the standard for, all right, Jaydin, what are you going to do to get better next year? What do you have some type of structure in your mind that says, all right, I'm going to reflect on this year and then get better from next? Because you made leaps and bounds, and where do you attest all that coming from? Is it just constant hard work, constant consistency,
Yeah.
or do you have a strategic plan in mind that you always come into the next year as?
No, yeah, I kind of go in with the mentality of I want to try new things, because if I'm just going to keep doing the same old thing, then I'm just going to be sitting where I'm at.
Right.
So I go in the practice room to like try new stuff, and then get to positions that I might see in the future,
For sure.
but seen before. So I'm really preparing myself for what's to come. And then I feel like my workout and my training ethic really improved dramatically, because I really I didn't want to say like didn't work that hard, but like didn't really put a lot of effort into it. And then this year I like put everything I had into it.
Right.
I was almost passing out from practice from going so hard, which really helped me get to a new level, I think. And that's what I'm doing now in the off season. I'm pushing myself harder than I ever pushed before
Yeah.
to reach a new level.
So, as far as Mizzou goes, tell me a little bit about the atmosphere, being Tiger style, being one of Mizzou's best right now. What do you feel the expectation upon yourself as you're becoming a star for your university? So tell me a little bit about what your role is as part of the team.
I'm just looking to be a leader. Everybody's going to look up to how I work out and how I do things in life, how I live my life. So I'm hoping to set a good example on how to live my life right. It's a family atmosphere up here. Everybody's going to be talking with each other, asking questions, how to get better. We want to thrive with each other. So I'm just hoping to be a guide for them, to show them how to live their life right, because if you don't live your life right, it's really going to show off when you wrestle, because everything catches up to you in the end. My dad always taught me, he always gave me this as there's a wrestling reaper out there, and it's going to catch up with you if you do something wrong or cut corner. Somebody else out there is going to be doing everything right, and he's going to get you in the end. And that's like how I always live my life, is I never want to feel caught or feel like I cut corners, so I always try to go out there and do my best.
Yeah, it seems like with kind of like the wrestling reaper analogy, karma plays a huge role in wrestling, believe it or not, and no matter how much you think you can get by with just doing the bare minimum, or like you said, shortcuts, it's always going to catch up one way or another, whether it's not making it to the finals of NCAAs, or not even making it past blood rounds to be All-American. So right, exactly. So tell me a little bit about your coaches. Tell me how they have made an impact on not only your growth in this sport, but as far as just being a person in life.
Yeah, they've been there for me for a lot. When Coach Smith and Coach Johnson came on my recruiting trip when I was still in high school, they came when at midnight, right when they were able to recruit me, and that's like really when the defining moment of when I knew I was gonna like, all right, I'm gonna be a Tiger, because they wanted me so bad that they were there right when they could and when nobody else was. And it really made me feel like they want me there as part of the family too. So for that, like the bond was already there for me to come in, and they helped me grow every single day as a wrestler and a person in life. I can ask questions all I want. I can come in and talk to them. So it's really good up here with the coaches.
That's awesome. So obviously, in hindsight, you could see Mizzou, and it would be a no-brainer for you to be there and be a wrestler representing, Tiger style. But was there anything that possibly could have gotten in the way of going to another school, or was it always, going here?
No, it was all, growing up, I was always around Mizzou, so there was really no other option for me
For sure.
in my mind because I didn't want to leave my family or friends or anybody. I wanted to do something here in my hometown, be uh, be something for them. And it's been a blessing to go out there and compete in front of my family. If I went somewhere else, I wouldn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's such a big blessing to have my family and friends here to watch me and support me.
Yeah, and I think that kind of, shows why you've grown so much as not only an athlete but as a person. I was meaning to ask that question because you see a lot of guys, especially nowadays, in the collegiate level, you see these guys dipping out and going from different universities, switching schools. What's your thoughts on that?
It's I guess what's ever best for them, but no, I couldn't do that because once I make a commitment, I'm gonna follow through on that. And that's a big thing for me is trust and commitment. I want to have that bond, so I never want to break that bond because family does mean a lot to me. So with having said that, if they want to, that's fine, but I don't really have a say in it.
Right, for sure. Yeah, it's just interesting to see so many guys, if the season just doesn't pan out the way they wanted it to, some of these guys question, their training habits and their environment, and they're so quick to jump ship. But, a guy like yourself is proving that, no matter where you end up in your season, you can always grow and get better, and it shows. So I want to talk about your family now. So tell me a little bit about, let's backtrack all the way from the start. Little Jaydin. When did he start wrestling? Who inspired you to wrestle? What got you into this sport?
So I started wrestling when I was 5 years old. Started out at Rochester Wrestling Club. Really, who got me started was my mom. She got me involved with it because my uncle Jared wrestled in high school and all that, and he's a big part of my life. I have 2 tattoos for him. He's never forgotten. So it really I wanted to be like him. So that was what I was driving to be, is go into wrestling. Hey, I can be like him when I grow up. And that's when I met Mike Eierman, who I call my dad, who's raised me ever since I was a little boy.
Yeah.
He came in from the Olympic Training Center, was coaching here at Mizzou, and he started coaching me when I was a little kid at Rockbridge Wrestling Club, and that's really how it all started, and then everything took off from there.
Yeah, I met Mike a while back at the NWCA convention in Florida. I had a chance to speak with him, and we're Facebook friends, and what a great guy. And
Yeah.
he praises you like, no other, man. He really takes pride in all the success, win or lose, He's always posting about you and everything like that. So tell me that relationship. Break down how important that is for your wrestling career, as far as having him in your corner and listening to him and using his guidance as a way for you to grow as a successful wrestler.
Yeah, it's been such a blessing because when I was growing up, he never told me no, like don't do that, it won't work, or he always wanted me to try things and explore every aspect of wrestling, which really is helping me now because I'm hard in some positions to wrestle. I'm able to put people where they're like, well, I've never seen this before, or it's weird, but it's like natural to me.
Yeah.
So growing up with that, it was just, we were always making new jumps every single day. We went into the practice room, and for him to take me in as like his own son when he didn't really have to, I couldn't give great grace and thanks for everything
Right.
in my life, for what he's given me. So it's been such unreal.
Yeah, so big shout out to Mike, man. He's your biggest fan. He's your biggest cheerleader, and without him, I think you want to be as successful as you are right now. So with that, let's talk about, I saw that you were undefeated in high school, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, for any high school wrestler right now, tell me not only how hard that is to be that type of an athlete that puts that much pressure to never lose a match in high school, and tell me what it took for you to get that accomplishment.
Yeah, during high school, before I went into my high school career as an eighth grader, I was thinking like Jaydin just won his fourth high school state title, and I'm like, I want to do that too. But I always had the mindset I was going to go in there and not lose a match in high school. And it really panned out to I have to work the hardest I have ever worked before in my life in the practice room, because it's going to be hard. There's going to be days where you're feeling sick or not your best, but you got to keep pushing through it. And going out there and doing what I did was an unreal moment, but I never really focused on it, because if I focused on it about too much, it wouldn't really pan out, I guess. So I really didn't put that much pressure on it. I was like, I'll just go out there, take one match at a time, and then wrestle my best and hope for the best.
Yeah, for sure. And what weight class were you wrestling in high school?
My freshman year, I was 113 pounds.
Yeah.
My sophomore year, I was 132. Then my junior year, I was 138. And then my senior year, I was 145.
Now, that transition from high school to college, was it hard for you losing that first match in college? How did you take that very first match? You remember that?
Yeah. So I went to an open my true freshman year up at Michigan State, and
Yeah.
I made the semis, and I lost to a Michigan State guy.
Mm-hmm.
It was a heartbreaker, but I was like, I can't focus on it. Everybody loses a match.
Yeah.
Nobody go perfect. There's only been one guy in history to go perfect in college.
Right.
But I didn't take it as no big deal. I had to go back the next match, and I wrestled the guy that ended up winning conference that year. And I teched him in a minute, and it was like, all right, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm gonna be at this level, but I just had to keep going and practice and work hard.
For sure. You know what I noticed with you that sets you aside from a lot of wrestlers, especially when I was in Cleveland watching you wrestle? You have a switch, man. You really have this type of switch where you get really hyped up and emotional every match. And where does that come from? Do you like? Is there some type of mental trigger where you're like, all right, I'm gonna piss myself off or hype myself up? Like, how do you get in that mindset of when I step on that mat, I'm gonna give them all I got?
Yeah, that's. I just feel like people get too serious sometimes, and if you get too serious at the wrong moment, you're gonna wear yourself out, because like you will wear yourself out if you get too like mentally psyched up. So I like to like just hang loose, just be relaxed, have fun, just live in the moment that I am being blessed with from God, because He's given me such great life to live. So I'm so grateful for that. I'm just gonna enjoy the moment that I'm living in, and when it's time to go, it's time to go. It's time to go to work,
Right.
and that's that mentality I go out there with. When it's showtime underneath the lights is when I'm turning it on and ready to go.
For sure. Yeah, you had some big matches in Cleveland, and I remember just watching the crowds get hyped up every time you'd win. And so it's interesting to see an athlete like yourself go through that progression, and then you can easily turn on that switch. So what's Jaydin up to now? Tell me a little bit about what his week's looking like. What's besides the wrestling aspect, obviously you're training hard and whatnot.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're actually doing besides just wrestling to get yourself prepared as far as any other aspect of training that people don't actually understand.
Yeah. I live out with my dad, Mike. We live in Millersburg. It's like a small town, I guess. It's about 10 miles from Columbia,
Yeah.
and they're with me and Willie Miklas, who wrestles here at Mizzou. And it's just that atmosphere right there alone is unreal, because we're all successful athletes, so we're all like pushing each other. So we're talking wrestling 24/7,
Right.
and learning to grow every single day. But my normal day is now that school's out is I have 8 dogs, so I'll just
Jeez, 8 dogs?
yeah, we live in the country, so it's like we have a lot of land.
Right.
So I go out there and just relax with my dogs, sit outside, and I like to listen to a lot of motivational speakers,
Mm-hmm.
because that's ultimately what I want to do in life. I gave a talk to a high school about a month ago, about motivation. So it's like
Yeah,
really
I
that's
saw that. How did that go for you as far as experience wise? I was really surprised. You don't see a lot of college wrestlers. I mean, you do from time to time, but
yeah.
you're still in college, so obviously, you would think your focus is on school
Yeah.
and everything. But you had a chance to speak at a high school. Tell me how that went down and what
Yeah, that
was.
was unreal. That was like my ultimate dream right there is because that's what I want to do in life is go out there and talk to kids and show them how to live a good life.
Yeah,
Uh, so it was really unreal. They asked me and I said, yeah, I'd love to. That was my first time really talking. And then I ended up talking for like an hour to them. And it was such an unreal because so many kids came up to me after and still texting me like your speech inspired me to live a good life, do everything right, and I drove them like motivationally, gave them new drive in life. So
yeah.
that was like the biggest, like that was the highlight of my year right there. Like if I couldn't do anything else, like that'd be something that made me really happy because I had kids come up to me crying, thanking me for everything, and I'm like, that's what I do this for is to help out kids. That I want to make an impact not just in wrestling but in life in general. So it was I couldn't be so grateful for the opportunity that they gave me.
That's awesome, man. That's very rewarding. I'm sure how it feels. And for you, what type of motivational speakers do you like listening to? You want to shed light on, who you look up to as far as that goes, or in general, anybody. Who are your role models? Who's inspiring you to be the best Jaydin Eierman out there?
Um, don't really have like a specific one. I just go into YouTube and just like watch a good motivational speech for a good hour or so. I
Yeah,
fall asleep sometimes listening to them talking because it like just gives me like, all right, this is how what I think about it when I'm sleeping or go to bed thinking about it. And it's just I think that's what's helped me a lot too is the mental aspect of everything. Is what separates me because some people might get nervous or scared, and I just think about everything that's said. Like there's so much, I shouldn't be nervous right now. There's far worse things that I could be happening right now, but all I have to do is worry about a match, go out there and wrestle. Like I think that right there has helped separate me from other people going through college. So just listen to them guys talk. It's helped me grow as a speaker as well because it's given me ideas of what to go off of and talk about.
now, do you write a lot? Do you ever have like a journal or anything like that, or is it mainly just mental and then listening and
Standing mentally and listening to things. I don't write things down. I mean, I should sometimes, but I don't. I just listen to it and just comprehend it in my mind and think about everything.
for sure. You seem very conservative for your age, and I'm saying that as a 24-year-old, so I'm not much older than you, but
Yeah.
it's so surprising. I was talking even with Seth Gross a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and just your attitude and his attitude compared to a lot of guys I've talked to, whether it's in person or on Skype. You seem very, very in tune, and not really. You don't really have an up and down meter. You're just flowing with everything. Where
Yeah.
does that come from?
Um, I really don't know, but it's been a blessing and great because I think with having my mind open to wrestling and trying new things all over, it's helping me do that in life and as well as I'm able to take everything in and finding the best option for myself and what I think is right and wrong. Um, it was great. I know growing up in a Catholic high school as well really helped me because I got to grow in my faith as I probably wouldn't have been able to if I went to a public high school. So that right there was also another blessing that I was able to go through. And I know Seth Gross is very involved with his faith. It changed his life a couple years back.
Yeah,
So I feel like that kind of helps separate us as well.
for sure. So, Jaydin, we got a couple more minutes with you. I appreciate you being on the podcast as always. What's next? What's the lookout for the next couple of weeks, months? Tell the listeners what you're getting geared up for, and what can we get excited about for our guy Jaydin Eierman.
I got the World Team Trials coming up in 2 weeks in Rochester, so I'm preparing for that. Get to wrestle a bunch of tough guys again. It's the best in the country, and to hopefully go and represent our country at Worlds. So getting prepared for that every day, just wrestling my hardest and pushing my body to the point of breaking. And then hopefully win the World Team Trials and then go to Final X to wrestle for the World Team spot. That's the plan.
Awesome, man. So we got that down. Tell listeners what we're about to expect for the next season of wrestling for you in NCAAs. Obviously we all know what everybody's goal is at the end of March, but tell me that mindset. What are you getting yourself prepared for over the summer and come fall? What's the mindset like for Jaydin Eierman?
All I can say is be ready, because I found a new drive in my life that is going to push me to a whole nother level, I believe. I have a board in my kitchen wall, and I'm marking down the days till next season. Right when I got back home from nationals, I wrote on the wall, I said 365 days, I will not lose another match. And it's that right there is helping me go into my practice room every day and pushing myself to achieve that goal. And I'm going to go out there more dangerous than I was this year, and it's hopefully going to pay off for us.
That's awesome. I had one little side question, just because I was always curious about, you're kind of, I don't know, would you consider yourself like a funky wrestler? Because from time to time you do have that funk, and then, other times it's not always that case. How do you approach, embracing your style of wrestling? Because really, you can't really pinpoint what type of style of wrestling you have, because you like you said, you flow. So tell me a little bit about how your style differs from everybody else.
Yeah, I think about it as just wrestling. I don't think about it as a style. I like to just take what's given to me in the moment and wrestling from that positioning. But growing up, Mike always told me he doesn't want me to be a one-dimensional wrestler. He wants me to be all aspects, taking things from other different guys. Like, he wants me to have Iowa style. He wants me to have Tiger style, just taking a bunch of everything together and putting it into the one guy. Wrestling, I wrestle like Ben. I'll wrestle like an Iowa guy where I'll pull on your head and get you tired. It's just what's ever in the moment is what I'm going to use, and what's given to me and is what I'm going to present to the table.
Have you trained with Ben at all?
Yeah, growing up, my dad was a coach here and assistant when Ben was here, so I was always around and able to roll around with him.
Yeah.
And the U.S. Open, after I lost in the finals, I was sitting on the mat, kind of bummed at myself. I didn't get to do what I wanted to. And Ben came up to me and started showing me stuff that would help me, because he saw what it was and worked on it there. And now I'm got something new coming up my sleeve, coming up to the World Team Trials.
That's awesome, man. Well, Jaydin, I'm excited to see you. I'm excited to see you in the next week and a half, see what you got to bring to the table, and for next year, because like you told everybody out there, it's out and on notice now. People better watch out and be ready. So, Jaydin, as I always close out the Go Earn It podcast, when somebody asks you, hey, Jaydin Eierman, you have to go earn it, what do those 3 words, go earn it, mean to you?
To me, go earn it would be go out there and give it your all. If you got to go out there and give it your best to earn something, you can't cut corners, you can't cheat in life. You have to go out there and give it your best and your hardest to earn something, and that's when it really means something special.
Perfect. Jaydin, where can we find you? Where can listeners follow you? This is your time to give out shout-outs, so let's hear it.
You can follow me on Instagram, Eierman_141, and then Twitter. But ultimately, you guys can come to my camps. I'll have them out at my house, that's where I train every day. So if you guys want to talk, you can follow me and DM me. I'm always talking to my followers and listeners.
Awesome. Jaydin, thank you for your time. We appreciate it, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
You too.